very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, I think congratulations to everybody. We actually got here almost on time. Good morning, everybody. Many thanks to Tracy for the warm welcome. San Cayetano this morning. Today, need another coffee. And of course, many thanks to all the 10 schools participating. This is really good. We've got Agora, BIC, the French Lycée, Mallorca International, Montessori, Queen's, Belvedere, Green Valley, and yourselves. So it's going to be a good competition. I'd like to thank our sponsors before I go any further, because of course without them, not everything happens. That's Palmer Pictures, where we have the big final. MCC, which is the big new tennis centre in Santa Ponsa. The Mallorca Bulletin, of course, the Ticket Travel Agency, Clinica Boneda, thanks to Viv, Imperial Properties, Port Towns Hills, and IBEX, so we're all set for the season. And of course, many thanks to these amazing volunteers, timekeepers and judges. Very much appreciated. Viv, Harry, and Ron in the background, the team that keeps it going. Just before we start, a little reminder for those, please, have your phones in silent mode, or if you've still got them on you, I don't know, in silent mode or off altogether. I'd now like to introduce our two teams, San Cayetano, Matilda, Nacho, and News. And from the Academy, Sophia, Fenlin, and Inyo. Yeah. Our timekeeper for today is David Tittle. The jury spokesman is Carlos Bestar, with Oliver Nielsen, and Steve Mason. Welcome, gentlemen. Our motion for today: the increase in the manufacture of electric cars is not sustainable. The increase in the manufacture of electric cars is not sustainable. After the draw early on, for the motion, San Cayetano; against the motion, the Academy. We really look forward to this debate. I think it's going to be a good one. So, over to the timekeeper, David.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. In which you'll speak. Sorry, Matilda first?
Yeah.
Second? Nacho, third? Yes, perfect. Right, this side? Second. I've got it right. Okay. Yeah, have you got that point? Right, another point, just to remind you to go and make sure everyone's happy. You have 5 minutes to speak. From minute 2 to minute 4, the other team can raise points of information. You're not allowed to speak for more than 15 minutes when you are raising a point or asking a question, so not presentation. And then there's another bell of 4 minutes, and the last minute is for summing up. So the opposing team can raise points between minutes 2 and 4. So that's the sequence that will go the bells if you're not. So first speaker, please. Let me know when you're ready.
This smartphone in my hand is sleek, cutting edge, and a symbol of modern day society, a breakthrough in the progress of technological advancement. Much like the electric cars, right? But they've become so famous and so common amongst the new generations, hence people don't stop and think about something fundamental. What took to create such a device? What procedures took place in order to develop something like this? Inside every single one of the phones all of you have today, we can find lithium, cobalt, and many other rare materials extracted directly from Earth, a lot of the time in highly unsustainable and unethical ways. Now, take this in, and imagine the amounts of resources and energy required to make something 1,000 times bigger, something like an electric car. The electric vehicle, much like this smartphone, is a marvel of contemporary engineering. But underneath its shiny exterior and visually appealing design lies a hidden cost. A cost measured in depleting raw materials a system that may not be able to sustain this level of production for long and environmental degradation. What we hold up as the solution to climate change may in fact be creating a new set of problems we haven't yet fully understood. Good morning everyone, jury, opposing team, audience. My name is Matilda, and today, along with my teammates Nacho Delgado and Nils Fernandez, we're going to convince you about why we are in complete agreement with today's motion. The increase in manufacturing of electric cars is not sustainable. But why do we so firmly and confidently believe this? What even is sustainability? Well, sustainability is defined as the faculty of meeting current needs without jeopardizing a future generation's ability to meet theirs. Not just their economical needs, but also their social and environmental needs. The plain truth of the matter is that even though electric cars are promoted as environmentally friendly nowadays, the current increase in their manufacture has proven to have long-term unsustainable consequences. Starting at the dramatic environmental impact, the resource scarcity, and the effects of the battery's production. As I have previously mentioned, much like the smartphones, the batteries these cars run on are made from lithium, cobalt, and even nickel. All of these minerals are taken from the ground, extracted through mineral processes, which are, guess what, super damaging to the environment. Do you still believe we can sustain on renewable energy? Do you think we are totally...
Sorry.
So, in the creation of mechanic cars using fossil fuels, we're running out of fossil fuels that's equally as damaging. Therefore, electric cars is a more sustainable solution, no? Because we don't have as much of a lack of materials we need to make them.
Exactly, that's a very good point. But the extraction processes which these go through are really, really harmful to social inequalities, which is something I wanted to talk about. So, as I was saying, the production is really, really harmful to these materials, which are minerals taken from the ground. And in addition, the excessive promotion the government has been doing has reflected in an overproduction of electric cars, which is something that our society was not prepared to handle. Secondly, we will talk about the waste this industry causes and about the lack of plans we have to solve this other dilemma. These toxic elements and the waste we produce with these that are in the creation of the batteries of these cars are really difficult to recycle and continue to pollute and contaminate. But more importantly, what are we going to do now that the sudden influx of the creation of electric cars at such an exponential rate is causing a massive amount of waste? Finally, we will talk about the continuation of inequality and social injustice in the production and manufacture of electric cars. Are you aware of how much an electric car costs? Do you think it is in everyone's means to actually buy one? Not to mention all the countries subjected to modern forms of imperialism and slavery because of the extraction of said materials, working under dreadful conditions and suffering the extreme discrimination and dehumanization this overproduction of electrical vehicles creates. Something that should be more than enough to stop people from purchasing these kinds of vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, the advances in technology in regards to the improvement and the view of the environmental situation should unironically help us solve our problems with depleting resources. It is vital to be kind to the planet. This doesn't mean we can't address the situation from a technocentric point of view. But as we are approaching a terrible era dealing with consequences of years and years of pollution, we don't want a planet B. We want to be able to save planet A. Thank you.
By a show of hands, how many of you think EV electric vehicles are our future? This just proves that without me and my team and I even stating our arguments, the majority already agrees with our side of the argument. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, and fellow debaters, I'd like to start by thanking everyone for being here today, and a special thank you to the Rotary Club for organizing these debates and to San Cayetano for hosting us this morning. I would like for you to imagine a world where the air is cleaner, the noise of traffic is reduced to a whisper, and our reliance on fossil fuels is a thing of the past. This is not just a dream, it is a goal we can achieve through the increase of electric car manufacturing. To clarify the essence of today's motion, according to the International Institute for Sustainable Development, sustainability refers to a process that ensures the needs of the present are met without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, while balancing economic, environmental, and social factors. After this debate, I assure you, my fellow team members and I will convince you that electric cars are the way to go. My name is Sofia Nur, and as the lead speaker of the Academy, I will be talking about what goes into making these cars, how they're more efficient, less complicated to assemble, less energy consuming, and much more. Speaking second today is Feng Ling, who will convince you how it would be heinous not to rethink about buying a gas-powered vehicle in the future. She will delve deeper into showing the detrimental effects gas-powered cars will have on our environment and wildlife compared to electric vehicles. Concluding for us, Indigo will talk about the new possible job opportunities and economic benefits in our near future thanks to electric vehicles. Electric vehicles are mechanically simpler to put together compared to their internal combustion engine counterparts. Gas-powered cars require thousands of moving parts, between 2,000 and 3,000 moving components. Electric cars, by contrast, have far fewer moving parts, often fewer than 20 in their entire mechanism. Their powertrains consist primarily of an electric motor, a battery, and a single-speed transmission. This reduction in complexity means electric cars are easier and way faster to assemble. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, this mechanical simplicity reduces manufacturing complexities, allowing EVs to be produced faster and with fewer errors. Leading to more efficient production, this means potentially up to 30% of reduction in overall manufacturing time compared to the gas-powered vehicles. Moreover, manufacturing electric vehicles means we are using less resources in the long run. While producing EVs, electric vehicles, batteries are especially lithium-ion ones, presents challenges, advancements in recycling and renewable energy are quickly addressing these concerns. The European Union is aiming to achieve a 70% recycling rate for EV batteries by 2030. The main implementations they are enforcing to achieve are battery regulations, which means the battery manufacturers are responsible for the entire life cycle of their products. This regulation requires manufacturers to ensure a minimum collection rate for used batteries and promote recycling processes, and sets ambitious sustainability standards for battery production. The shift to electric car manufacturing is not just about creating cleaner cars, but about embracing a future of more efficient and sustainable production processes. The numbers speak for themselves. These cars involve simpler assembly, fewer emissions, and a reduction in reliance on resources. I'd like to conclude by leaving you with a question. I implore all of you, audience members, judges, and even debaters to reflect upon. Given the significant environmental and manufacturing advantages of electrical vehicles, how long can we afford to rely on outdated gas-powered technology when we have a cleaner alternative within reach? Thank you.
During these last years, and as we all know, governments and vehicle brands from all over the world have been promoting the use of electric cars non-stop. Some automobile manufacturers, such as General Motors, expect to have 0 new cars run by gasoline by 2035. But others, such as Volvo, advance this massive change to even 2030. Of course, on paper, this looks like an amazing opportunity that could even change the current environmental situation that the Earth is suffering from. But is it really that perfect? Today, we're here to prove them wrong. No, it's not that perfect, or at least not that fast. In our opinion, pretending to do this massive change in 5 or even 10 years is absolutely insane, and we're going to be proving it with our first argument, the risk of accelerated transition. In the last 10 years, electric vehicle sales have increased by approximately 7,500%. Yes, you've heard me right, 7,500. This is absolute madness and has happened because of the unnecessary overpromotion that the governments have been doing of good environmental practices all over the world. But as it always happens on the market, this has led to a completely unstable situation. We're going to be naming this movement as too much, too fast. Of course, to start, the demand for electric cars is extremely high, but that isn't even the problematic part here. The problem is how fast it's all happening. The cars that nowadays are producing millions of electric cars weren't even producing 10% of what they're creating now 10 years ago. And this, of course, has led to a complete unstable situation for companies, market, and even the whole world. This situation has led three main downsides. The first one, as needing to create more products in a minor amount of time, they need to get more natural resources, getting into the point of overuse or even depletion. Then there's the inability of the market to keep up with all the necessary infrastructures, such as charging station or power grids, at the same time that this is all changing. And finally, the evident drop on the quality of these vehicles, as companies will always keep looking on profit, and they will not look on doing more quality products. Now let's change aspects. When talking about how environmentally friendly electric cars are, it's an absolute mistake to just think about them while they're working as transportation. We need to think about everything that is beneath them and is incredibly polluted, like their batteries, which are non-expensive thing. This is our second argument, the extreme pollution that batteries create. From the moment the minerals are taken until they're thrown away, they can't stop polluting. Let's start from the beginning. In order to create these batteries, you need three main minerals: cobalt, nickel, and lithium. These three minerals are really hard to get and can even suppose very destroying and obviously very polluting mining processes. Let's give an example. For example, in the Salar de Uyuni, which is one of the most famous salt flats in Bolivia and in the whole world, there is a big source of cobalt. As companies really want this cobalt and they get it here very, very cheap, they go there and they have even wasted a big amount of the water from that area. Then there's the beginning of the production process, when all these minerals go through a process in order to get the parts of the minerals that interest them in order to create the batteries. Afterwards, all the parts of the mineral. Yeah.
Can I go back on a fact you said earlier?
Yeah, of course.
You said that there's a reduction in the quality of the cars.
Yeah.
What proofs do you have to support?
Because of course, I mean, the market works like this. When you have a lot of demand, you need to create better, faster, in order to have more quantity of products to sell. So in the end, they're constantly creating without fixing on the actual important thing that is the quantity. And then, as I was saying, all the toxic chemicals that are used during this product and the parts of the minerals which won't be used are just thrown away in landfill areas without getting to think about how environmentally unfriendly these things are. And afterwards, there's the actual problem, the actual production of the batteries. I'm going to give you a simple evidence. According to the MIT's lab, 1 ton of lithium in order to get the batteries for an electric car produces 15 tons of CO2 emissions, which is incredibly polluting. I mean, really, is this a solution for our environment, or is it just another major problem? And finally, there's the throwing away of these batteries once they've been used. Most of the times, they're cremated, creating an incredible amount of toxics that are then just spread through the atmosphere. Thank you so much.
Good morning, fellow debaters and esteemed judges. I will justify why electric cars have had a very beneficial impact on our environment. Electrical vehicles are not only a technological advancement, they also contribute so much to our planet and habitat. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, there's a drastic reduction in air pollution regarding electrical vehicles. They produce no tailpipe emissions, which are products of fuel combustion, and pollutants like carbon dioxide, which are major contributors to pollution. Having cleaner air is evidently healthier. It reduces respiratory illnesses like asthma, especially in rural areas. Though gas-powered vehicles release a lot of vehicle exhaustion and damages younger and older people's lives. This relates to one of the major threats, lack and impact of fossil fuel. Electric cars offer a powerful solution to this, as they require no fossil fuels to be burnt or wasted, and can be powered by renewable energy sources.
Bit of information. The motion is about the production of these cars. What does tailpipe emissions have to do with that motion?
Because it shows how much... Sorry, can you repeat that?
That the motion is about the actual production of these cars, not about their working. How do tailpipe emissions, which is their transportation way of wasting, have to do with the motion?
Well, it's to do with how well the cars work and what they use. Is it worth it for how it manufactures, for everything it wastes? For instance, the Toyota Price Prime and the Lightyear Zero cars, which are fully powered through solar panels. To show its significance, an average petrol-powered vehicle emits about 2 tons of CO2 per year. The Statkraft, a company specialized in e-mobility, has also written a few articles about this. The overall effect of using no tailpipe emissions in the environment is positive. As temperatures decrease, oceans and air are unsullied, cleaner, sea levels return to their natural rise. The issue with all these gases and chemicals is they get trapped in our atmosphere and overcharges the natural greenhouse effect, where the gases and natural ones store in the sun's heat, causing global temperatures to rise more than they should. Air pollution alone has killed 1 million seabirds and 100,000 sea mammals. Tailpipe emissions elevate the risk of lung cancer, damages our brains, lungs, and hearts. The World Wildlife Fund has mentioned this several times with Nikhil Advani, a wildlife and climate resilience expert. The Californian battery company NDV even claims that using leftover radioactive material can create electrical energy. Left untreated, the radioactive component could be highly dangerous. Though, when used properly for cars, an electric car could last 80 years if done right and safely. The levels of radiation given off by the battery are lower than the natural radiation of the human body, so it is also certified to be very safe in the making. Scientists and engineers are barely scratching the surface here, so it'll benefit us in the long term, and that's what's important. In closing, the manufacturing of electric cars is already massively improving. An example of this is the batteries used in them. They're made of aluminium and can be recycled without losing its qualities. In fact, recycling aluminium uses up to 95% less energy than mining more raw materials. This was proven by the Aston Architectural Aluminium Company, who has certified quality and protection awards. Scientists are currently working on making the manufacturing of batteries even more sustainable. To conclude, the manufacturing of electric cars has a positive environmental impact for the long term, making them sustainable. Thank you for your time.
Throughout today's debate, you have been presenting electric cars as a sustainable solution to climate change. However, my teammates and I disagree. We've already presented 2 arguments which clearly reflect why we stand for the fact that electric cars are unsustainable. So,
Let's imagine a world dominated by electric vehicles. At first, it sounds great, right? But the undeniable fact is that the industry that is behind the electric cars is socially, politically, and economically unsustainable. Let me tell you why with our third argument. Batteries depend essentially on one mineral. This mineral you can see right here, cobalt. The Democratic Republic of Congo holds over 70% of the global cobalt reserves, making this country completely essential for the production. But beneath this potential lies a tough reality. Mining practices that exploit its workers, promote child labor, and damages ecosystems. These images I'm going to give you now show the cruelty and the reality of extracting minerals from the mines of Congo. So, do you think it's really fair that people from this country have to suffer through these conditions so that we cannot have access to this mineral? Organizations like Amnesty International, a highly recognized global movement with over 10 million members, are already fighting against the violations occurring nowadays in the mines of Congo. They already work with special initiatives located in the main affected areas, and they claim that the working conditions are completely inhuman. Often, they have to deal with forced relocation, because every time a mining company feels like expanding its working areas, people is forced to change their places of residence. So, after the centuries of exploitation these countries suffered during colonization and post-colonization times, it's completely shocking that we keep repeating the same mistakes. Another factor we have to consider is the political issues. There is one matter you haven't thought about, and it is how the resources necessary to create electric cars are concentrated in a small number of countries, starting from the cobalt that, as I said before, has its majority located in Congo, or the productions of the car itself in China. When having so few countries in control of such a big industry, we are facing a significant risk. That the moment one have a problem, a war, or a political conflict, the entire system will have a risk of falling down.
I have a question. So when you're talking about child exploitation, of course that's a huge issue, but over time with organisations it can be solved, but the damage done by fossil fuels is already at such a large extent that it's a little bit too far to fix it.
Of course, but what we are saying is that the damage that fossil fuels do are equally compared to the damages we are doing by exploiting countries and damages the environment in the places where we are taking the minerals from. And as much as organizations like Amnesty International are trying to fight against the child labor, it is true that it is still happening, and it is very difficult for organizations to compete against multimillionaire companies because money makes the world function. So, I continue by saying that the sustainability is being threatened when the resources are made in very few countries. So, do we really want to give China and Congo the control over the most important means of transportation? If I haven't convinced you already by exposing the cruelty of mining for cobalt, or by showing you the risks of concentrating such a big industry in hands of so few countries, then economically it is still not valuable. Electric cars are so expensive that only the richest will be able to afford them. The average cost of production in electric cars is 30,000 euros, more than double of the gasoline ones, that are 14,000. This is a global issue. Global means the whole world, so the solution cannot be in hands of a few rich countries. So it is impossible to present electric cars as a global solution if they are never going to replace petrol ones in the most underdeveloped countries. To end, I want to ask you to hold the picture that I gave you a few minutes ago again. Now, I need you to think about all the arguments we have given you to show you that electric cars are not sustainable. For how much longer are we going to pretend that electric cars are a solution, letting so many people suffer just so that the wealthier minority can enjoy this new technology? This is all. Thank you very much for your attention.
you of the positive impact the transition to electric cars has on our economy and jobs. At the gathering today, at the threshold of what is going to be an exciting new chapter in our economic story, economic growth brings to life a phrase: together we can. Together we can work together to educate ourselves and create a brighter, more economically positive future. We see the ramping up of electric vehicle production over the last couple of years. Now, in a way, that does fulfill the beginning of our promise for a sustainable future, but also our relentless pursuit of progress. But it's not all about cleaner air. It's also about new jobs, strengthened economies, and new advanced industries. Think of this. The shift to electric cars is statistically proven to create more than twice as many new jobs as the number that we lost by the demise of the internal combustion engine. In our country, at the pivot to a greener economy, each electric car manufacturer will create a new role: assembly line technicians, software engineers, battery makers, recyclers. Each electric vehicle is more than a machine. It's a beacon of hope, an opportunity for new employment, and a personification of investment in future skills. New studies have shown that the electric vehicle and battery industries have over 160,000 jobs yet to be created, with billions in investments coming in, not only for manufacturing plants but charging infrastructure. Local economies benefit. Our cities and towns become hubs of innovation. We are turning that knowledge into building a workforce that will be as vibrant as the electric revolution.
Right.
As you said, it's benefiting the economy and the jobs in several different places, but this only really applies to rich countries, right? Because as we mentioned, in all the countries where the materials are extracted from, the people are suffering massive inequalities. So how would you prove that this is a better solution?
Well, I would say that, of course, these are major issues. We cannot not address them, but they can also be solved, and these rich countries can contribute to stopping this slavery and perhaps giving them money, helping them take them out of this dark place. I think it is an issue that we could solve together. Okay, new studies have shown that electric vehicle and battery industries have over 160,000 jobs to be created. With billions of investments coming in, not only manufacturing plants, but also charging infrastructure, local economies benefit. We are turning that knowledge into building a workforce as vibrant as the electric revolution. Accordingly, local universities and vocational schools are rapidly updating their curriculum to reflect these new needs. I myself have experienced multiple presentations and demonstrations on how electric cars can benefit our future. Generations of apprentices will be developing the skills required to thrive in a battery economy. This is what we are talking about. Reskilling and upskilling our youth today is an investment in our nation's greener, more eco-friendly future. In addition, we cannot neglect the role.
How can there be the battery of future if we are saying that it's so contaminated to extract the minerals or the minerals itself?
But once again, for fossil fuel powered cars, the extraction of these materials is equally as negative of an impact. And with the extraction of cars for electric batteries, we have to extract a lot fewer of these materials. So I think it's kind of equal, but the electric batteries do sort of win it slightly because we have to use a lot less of everything. In addition, we cannot neglect the role the electric vehicle industry could play in our economy. Every manufactured electric vehicle points to increased growth among local suppliers, stirred research and innovation activities, and improved market conditions for sustainable materials. Charging price, electric vehicle battery, reliability of power supply, and spare parts management will also be affected in a positive way. The big picture here, ladies and gentlemen, is that every electric vehicle manufactured reduces our carbon footprint, but makes our economy even stronger. Think of effective recycling programs. New programs turn old parts into exciting new technologies. Each leap we take forward in electric vehicles teaches us about forward-thinking practices, but these leaps must be made as a community and a group movement. So let's support and participate in this exciting wave of electric vehicle manufacturing. Let's rally behind our automotive innovators, engineers, and employees. Today's choices will form the foundation of opportunity tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both teams, all the speakers. You have 2 minutes now to your sign.
been made, the opposing team has failed to address wildlife and air pollution, which my colleague Fengley clearly went into extreme detail about, car structures and faster production, and an increase in pollution and how it's unstable. Why? Why is it unstable when it's helping multiple issues globally? We have clearly managed to say that efficient production is making less resources and embracing an efficient future. Vehicle exhaustion is an increase in health danger, which they didn't manage to counter-argue. And rising temperatures and air pollution are also extreme issues, which I didn't hear enough about. They said that the materials extracted were unsustainable, but the materials being extracted using
Your timing is wonderful. What's happening?
I think the young lady was starting all over again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That didn't happen.
In conclusion, though extremely good points were made, the opposing team has failed to address some slight issues. Wildlife and air pollution. We don't feel that we heard enough about that, and my colleague Fengley went into extreme detail about the extreme damage it's doing. Health danger, vehicle exhaustion, and rising air temperatures are something that are major issues we did not hear enough about. Again, they went into some detail about car structures, faster, but not about how they have faster production. When we're making these electric cars, production is way faster, therefore we are helping globally at a lot more quicker rate. And then we went into an increase in production and how it is unstable. But why is it unstable if it's helping multiple issues globally? I'm sure we have convinced you that overall electric vehicles are a huge benefit on our economy, jobs, the environment, and carbon emissions and production efficiency. There's more efficient production, using less resources, and therefore we are embracing a more efficient future. Thank you.
Take a look at this smartphone. Like my teammate Matilda already explained at the beginning of the debate, electric cars are much like this smartphone. Both marvels of contemporary engineering. We totally agree with you in the fact that we need an alternative to gasoline vehicles. But the unsustainability of the electric ones show that they are not it. Our first argument explains the risk of an accelerated movement. Our second one defends how extremely polluting the batteries are. And with our third argument, we have demonstrated that EVs are socially, politically, and economically unsustainable. Despite this, you still have defended the sustainability of electric cars. In your first argument, you have talked about the benefits that electric cars, when they are being used, and that has nothing to do with the motion. We are talking about how harmful the production is, as my partner Nacho said in his point of information. Then you agreed with us in the fact that the batteries are harmful, but you just kept saying that that fossil fuels are even worse. But that does not make electric vehicles sustainable. Then you talk about the economy. You talk about the equality in economies. But we demonstrated you that the most underdeveloped countries will not be able to access these new technologies. So, after all this debate, I want you to think of an answer to the following question. For how much longer do you want to keep ignoring all these facts? Or do you want to start looking for real solutions? This is all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Change this time what we've done before, and that is to ask not just your teachers, but all the peoples here, all yourselves. You've debated for something that maybe you don't entirely agree with. You've got the for, or you've got the against, and you're maybe a little bit thinking, no, I'd really rather it was the other way. This happens every time. That's the art of the debate, isn't it? You've got to be able to debate whatever that subject you're given. So let's get rid of those masks a little bit and say, what do you really think? What do you really think about the thing? Do you believe it's 100% sustainable? The jury's gone. You can say what you believe in. The jury's out.
I think I definitely agree with different sides to both, but I think their point on what's happening in Congo was so good. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think it's a 50-50 really, but there's some points that were stating that I know, and that's not completely.
I see you nodding, Nacho. What do you
I
think?
think all of us have like our hearts separated, like 50-50, because there's so good points on one side, so good points on the other side. Yeah.
And we're doing, come on now, you're not to be quiet here, you know. Who's going to be first to say, I don't agree?
I agree with Nacho's side.
Big fun?
I agree with San Cayetano's side. I agree, like, you made amazing points. I really did like his speech. It was really good. It was very clear about what her point was, and so was Nacho's. It was very clear, and I understood it, and like it was well interpreted. And some of the points you made, I'd also found when I was researching, and like I found them exactly, and it was just a really good speech. I agree.
I mean, what do you think? Would you yes? You know, listen to all the arguments from the front line.
I think that the point that they made in the conclusion about there being other alternatives other than electric cars, or gasoline cars like I don't know, hydro electric cars or something like that. I think that is definitely also an option, especially because I'm more for the for side.
The in favor motion.
Yeah, in favor
it's
that
not
they're-
sustainable.
I know that there are parts to it that are more sustainable, but I feel like in general it is less sustainable.
I mean, how many of you have an electric car in the family?
Oh.
1, 2, 3, not so many. Some on both sides, there we are.
We never talked about that.
So there you go, an electric car in the family, and you're, well, yes, this happens in the debate, doesn't it? So having heard the debate, let's say in another few years, or maybe now at home you've got an elder brother, a mum and dad are thinking about buying an electric car. What would you think to say to them?
I would say don't do it.
You would say no. Or does somebody else? Would anybody say, yeah, we think that's a great idea?
Why would you say no? Why?
Because this kind of leads on to a point that I saw an electric car. It was a Land Rover Evoque, and you know the Palma Turner?
Yeah.
Palma Nova Turner? When I was driving past it one day, it was a Land Rover Evoque, and the entire front of it was melted, like dripping onto the floor, melted. The person wasn't in the car, but all the windows were smashed. It was like the front of the car just set on fire.
But a battery exploded or something?
Yeah, the battery just overheated because one, it was a black car, and like the battery must have overheated, and then it
We missed that argument.
Has anybody else seen anything or heard of anything like that before this? Or?
No.
Yeah? Yes?
I mean, obviously, they're both equally dangerous. If you think about it, because, of course, gas is flammable, and she said an electric car melted.
So it really depends on your likes. For example, most people just like cars that are made out of that like work on petrol and gas because I don't know. I think I've seen that they're cooler and they're I don't know more like people like cool cars and gas cars are usually cooler than electric cars, even though electric cars are better for the environment.
Is it a solution then to think about a hybrid car? Or is that just complicating the situation? Oh yes, what do you think in the front there? See you nodding away. Hybrid car? Yeah.
I don't really think hybrid car is a good option. I would prefer electric car because in the end, it's creating an electric car or one with like regular gas, like petroleum. It's like the same damage, but at the end, buying a gasoline is really, really expensive. And for example, I have an electric car and I have solar panels in my house. And we charge it with like the energy of the solar panels. And that is like much more environmentally friendly than just having to put gas.
Yes.
I agree with what she has to say because even though that in the beginning, the manufacturing of these cars, it is damaging to the environment, we have to take into consideration that we're going to use it for an average of 18 years. And throughout these 18 years, we have to basically use them daily, which means that this will lead to pollution every single day. As to, if we have an electric car, yes, we will pollute by making them, but in the end, it will balance itself out.
I think you have to wonder where the energy comes from. Like you said, you have solar panels in your house, but that's not, I don't think that's the most common case right now, as in, I think most people that have electric cars are still using, plugging in their cars to get there. So,
But I also feel like there's like a traditional aspect to it as well. Like I know that there are some countries that aim to have like a certain number of electric cars in, I don't know, like 2030 or 2050. But first off, some people can't afford it, but also what about the old-timer cars? The families that have these old-timer cars, if they need to transition to these electric cars, it's also a bit of it's a bit sad because the old-timers are still, it's like it has a sentimental value.
Yes.
Well, I thought like both sides of the argument was like super convincing, but I'm left with this like really massive question. If we have so many good arguments as to why electric cars might not be so sustainable, why is the government or like all of these countries trying to produce more? Why are they selling it to us like this good, super sustainable future?
Now there's a good question. Who would like to answer?
But I think
Both
governments,
sides, perhaps, yes.
I think governments are refusing to see the bad sides of electric cars, but because they have been for so many years trying to convince people that electric cars are good, that they haven't even tried to stop and investigate the risks they contribute. And like now that they have said to everyone that electric cars are magnificent and that they present it as a solution to climate change, they don't want to change their opinions. It's not good for politics.
Yes, sir.
I have another answer for her question. I believe it's corruption, and people who have those factories of electric cars pay to the government, and the government, with this money, they will be happy and force the people to believe in a false reality, and will make these people, the buyers, believe that they're getting the best car possible.
I was going to say that it's also probably very related to the convenience of being able to produce and extract the minerals used for the batteries in really capitalist countries that live under the influence of imperialism and slavery, which is sort of what I explained in the last part of the introduction. And it's not like this doesn't happen in other industries. The clothing industry, for instance, that's one of my biggest examples. And people prefer to be oblivious and ignore this type of things because in rich countries, especially in Europe, where we're really into consumerism, it's much more convenient for us if we can just ignore the problems in other continents.
Would anyone like to give a reply to that since we're almost coming to the end? I'm sure you relate to.
I think absolutely because well, the underage working and slavery in these countries are going against extreme laws, of course. And if the government can choose to ignore those facts, then it can get away with multiple things. But if it does go into these problems with electric cars, they will be facing some extreme precautions as well.
Now, who would like to make the closing remark? That looks a very determined walk. You first back, right?
Not seen one.
Last coming? No? We're going to leave it as that one, are we? Okay, well done. Thank you very much. That's it.
Wow. Wow. Excellent. Very good. Very good. We have made a decision. It wasn't easy. And we had a little fight, but we made friends in the end. So we know what the answers are. But there are some things that we would like to be helpful with. Because we think we know. The lectern, yes, it's there to help you. Everybody used it. Some people used it better than others. Some used it better. It wasn't bad, it was good. You're in a debate, you're making a presentation, you've worked hard for this, you've got bits of info you want everybody to know. People just shut down. It's okay to do. You can. Because it's all new to you, you've worked hard for this now. So it's a little bit familiar. You'll see the odd sentence, and when you see that familiar sentence, that's when you can look up. And you keep your attention. Just one place. All your friends are looking at you going, I can do better than you. I can do better than that. Different way of doing it, isn't it? It's different. You stand up here and all of a sudden, oh, he's looking at me. It's natural, it's fight or flight, sink or swim or whatever. Slow down. Slow. You add your second in your head after every word. It won't be a second. And it won't feel like that, but to you it's feeling because you're nervous and it's different up here. So, excellent presentations, it was fast. The use of the lectern is acceptable as long as you remember it's a support on the side. The subject, facts and figures. The question, what is the question? The question is, this house or this is arguing for, read the question, the increase in electric cars is not sustainable. We felt that you addressed the question better, you were just as good as the question. We got a lot more facts from the Academy, which was similar. Of course you're going to get the same facts. We live in a world where increasingly you get information, and can you trust that source? Really? Did that come from the BBC or was it TikTok? That's the world we live in. So it would have been nice to see good use of props, but I would have liked to have seen at the bottom of it a little small font thing saying, according to da-da-da-da, this is that. You photoshopped that, didn't you? You didn't. But it's a thought that I could have. So it would have been nice to see where you got your sources of information from. A couple of you did say things like, and I was listening, but I've forgotten, according to the Florida or whatever, and I liked that, that was good. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. We've just got to, as we are all grown-ups, you need to just prove your points and say where it's coming from. So, I don't have to worry about bells, okay. That's hard, isn't it? throws you off. Points of interest, points of information. Look at that, you did a couple. And you were good at defending yourselves as well. It's horrible, isn't it? It really throws you off. You're writing it. Yes, yeah. Brilliant, well done. Just because you don't make a point of information or ask for it, there's no negative points for that. It's how you handle it. We're looking at how your presentation is, your body language, your confidence. We have to write down a lot, so that's why we end up fighting it. What else? Lecting, good points of POR. Good. Yes, use of lecting, we'll address that one. Nerves is a thing. Good use of point. Very good. The biro. You're good, you have the lecting to the side. We understand you're nervous, the biro. Looks like so, if you look at live television, you see a newscaster. Even though they're really experienced, you look at them when they sit at the desk. Nowadays it's a bit different, they have a piece of paper, but generally they always have a method of keeping their hands together. If you're a nervous person, even with just your friends, you can tell that because people are moving their hands. So a good tip is just hold your thumb. And it comforts yourself and it just keeps your nose down and whatever. Just a little tip there. And I now have to make an announcement. And the first announcement is to confirm who's the winning school. By a whisker, I'm pleased to say that the winning school is... It's on page 1. Competition. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you. Would you like to stand up for a compliment?
Well, the best day.
Well, first, no, we'll do this one.
We've got to make a decision about the best debater. And we have a decision, and it wasn't easy again, but as we were talking, it became, because there was three of you actually that we were considering, and as we shared the notes, it started to become clear who that is, and I'm very pleased to say that the best debater in today's competition, because you get a big debater, best debater at the end of the competition, is the Academy Indigo Whistle. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to both schools, both teams. You've done a great job. And thank you very much, Tracy. And thank you. Congratulations, both winners.